My name is Sarah Ford. I'm 30 years old. At my rehearsal dinner, in front of 70 relatives, my father stood up, raised his glass, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I'm not walking someone else's mistake to the altar." He meant me. He walked both my sisters down the aisle. Emily's wedding cost him $52,000. Claire's cost $61,000. He paid every single cent and cried during their father-daughter dances. For me, he said no. What my father didn't know, what nobody knew, was that I had been protecting him since I was 8 years old. November 22nd, 2003. The night my mother died, I lied to the police. I lied to the insurance company. I hid the evidence, and I carried that lie for 22 years. The next day, my 81-year-old grandfather walked me down the aisle instead. Halfway to the altar, he stopped, turned to my father, and said 7 words that tore our entire family apart. This is what happened next. If you've ever been blamed by your own parent for something that wasn't your fault, or if you've ever had to carry a family secret that was slowly destroying you, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. Drop a single word in the comments that describes how your family made you feel growing up. I read every single one. Now let me take you back to the night everything changed. November 22nd, 2003. I was 8 years old. 8 years and 8 months to be exact. That day started normal. My mother drove me to school. Longfellow Elementary. 3rd grade. Mrs. Patterson's class. Mom dropped me off at 7:45 in the morning. She smiled. Said she'd see me after ballet class. I had dance at 6 p.m. Riverside School of Dance. Studio B, $85 a month. Except I'd quit ballet 2 weeks before. I didn't like it anymore. I told Mom. She said okay. We agreed not to tell Dad yet. He'd be disappointed. So we kept it quiet. That night, I was home. In my room. 2nd floor. Window facing the driveway. At 7:38 p.m., I heard the car start. I looked out. Mom was sitting in our Toyota Camry, 2003 model. Silver. License plate 4JHN 892. The engine was running, headlights on, wipers off. It wasn't raining yet. She sat there, hands on the steering wheel, head down. I watched the digital clock on my nightstand. 7:38 became 7:40, 41, 42, 9 minutes. She sat in that car for 9 minutes, not moving, just sitting. Then she backed out of the driveway and left. I didn't know where she was going, but I knew she wasn't going to pick me up from ballet. There was no ballet class. There was no forgotten dance bag. There was just my mother, leaving. At 8:02 p.m., my father's phone rang. Motorola Razr. Silver flip phone. He answered. Said what? Then where? Then nothing. He grabbed his keys, left the house at 8:04. Didn't say a word to me or my sisters. Emily was 15. She locked us in her room. Upstairs, bedroom number 2. She was old enough to know something was wrong. At 10:22 p.m., my grandfather's truck pulled into the driveway. Not Dad's car. Grandpa's. That's when I knew Mom wasn't coming home. Grandpa took us to Riverside Community Hospital, 4445 Magnolia Avenue. We arrived at 10:35. He parked in the visitor lot. Row C, spot 17. Our car was there. The Camry, front bumper crumpled like paper, windshield spiderwebbed, airbag deployed. I asked Grandpa if Mom was inside the hospital. He said, "Not anymore, honey." They made us wait in the pediatric section, away from the emergency room. Emily sat with Claire. I sat alone, counted the ceiling tiles, 48 tiles. I counted them 3 times. Dad came out at 11:08 p.m. He didn't look at any of us, just walked past. Grandpa called after him. Dad kept walking. That was the first time I saw my father cry. It wouldn't be the last time he blamed me. The police came the next morning. November 23rd. Detective James Crawford, Riverside County Sheriff, badge number 2891. He had a notepad, blue ink. We sat in the dining room, 2847 Cedar Lane, our house. My father wasn't there, just me and Grandpa. Detective Crawford asked if my mom seemed sad lately. I said no. He asked if she said anything before she left. I said she told me not to forget my dance bag. He wrote that down, underlined it twice. Then he asked, "Sarah, did your mom swerve, like she was trying to avoid something?" I looked at Grandpa. He was sitting in the corner. He didn't say anything, didn't nod, didn't shake his head, just looked at me. I said, "Yes, she swerved to avoid a deer." Detective Crawford asked me 3 more times, different ways, same question. I said yes every time. He finally closed his notebook, said, "Okay, Sarah, thank you." I was 8 years old. I knew I'd just lied to a police officer, but I also knew why. The night before, after Grandpa brought us home from the hospital, I couldn't sleep. I went to my parents' bathroom. I don't know why. Maybe I was looking for answers. I found an orange prescription bottle in the trash. Empty. The label said, "Jennifer Ford, Zoloft 50 milligrams. Take 1 daily, 90-day supply. Filled August 18th, 2003. Refills, 2." The bottle was empty. 90 pills. Gone. I was 8. I didn't know what Zoloft was, but I knew 90 pills weren't supposed to disappear in 3 months. I put the bottle back. Didn't tell anyone. Later that night, I heard Grandpa and Dad talking downstairs. I was supposed to be asleep. I sat on the stairs, listened. Grandpa said, "Daniel, if they rule it suicide, the policy won't pay." Dad said, "It wasn't suicide." Grandpa said, "The pills, Daniel, the timing, the blood alcohol." Dad cut him off. "I don't care. It was an accident." I didn't understand everything, but I understood enough. If the insurance company thought Mom killed herself, we'd lose money, a lot of money. So when Detective Crawford asked if Mom swerved to avoid a deer, I said yes. I lied, and my family survived. 2 weeks later, a man from State Farm came to our house. December 9th, 2003. His name was Donald Patterson, claims investigator. He had a briefcase. Case number SF2003118-829. He sat at our kitchen table. Asked Dad if Mom was depressed. Dad said no. Asked if there were any suicide attempts. Dad said no. Asked if there was any reason Mom would want to harm herself. Dad looked at me, then back at Mr. Patterson. He said, "No. It was an accident. My daughter saw a deer." Mr. Patterson looked at me. I was doing math homework, 3rd grade, multiplication tables. He asked, "Sarah, you're sure about the deer?" I said yes. He wrote something down, closed his briefcase, left. 2 weeks after that, the check arrived. $500,000. We kept the house. Emily went to college, Claire got braces, and I learned that some lies save people. My father sent me to therapy. January 12th, 2004. Dr. Helen Vasquez, Child Psychology Associates, 4156 Magnolia Avenue, Suite 203. Her office smelled like lavender, fake plant in the corner, tissues on every table, beige couch, watercolor paintings on the walls. She asked if I wanted to talk about my mom. I said she died in a car accident. Dr. Vasquez asked how that made me feel. I said sad. That was the truth. The lie was everything I didn't say. At the end of the session, Dr. Vasquez asked if I blamed myself for the accident. I said no. She wrote something in her notepad. I saw it upside down. One word: denial. She was wrong. I didn't blame myself. I blamed my father. I just didn't know why yet. Dad drove me to therapy every Tuesday. 4 p.m. for 4 years, 187 sessions. He'd park in the lot, row 2, near the tree if the spot was available. He'd wait in his truck. 2001 Ford F-150, gray. He'd read the LA Times. Sometimes he'd nap. He never asked how therapy went. Never asked what we talked about. Just, ready to go home? 12-minute drive, 6.3 miles, silence, every single week. Once, when I was 11, I asked, "Dad, do you want to know what we talk about?" He said, "If you wanted me to know, you'd tell me." I didn't tell him. He never asked again. That's when I realized he didn't want to know. Knowing would make it real. The dream started in March 2004. Same dream every night. Mom in the car, driveway, engine running. She'd turn, look at me through my bedroom window, and say, "It's okay, Sarah, you don't have to lie anymore." I'd wake up, 3 a.m., every time. I told Dr. Vasquez about the dreams. She asked what I thought Mom meant. I said I didn't know. Another lie. Dr. Vasquez introduced art therapy. April 2004. She asked me to draw the accident. I drew the car, the rain, the road, but I didn't draw a deer. She noticed. She said, "Sarah, where's the deer?" I said, "I forgot." I hadn't forgotten. There was never a deer. My 10th birthday. March 15th, 2005. We had a backyard party. About 20 people. Extended family. Aunt Linda, my dad's sister. She asked if I was still doing ballet. Before I could answer, Dad said, "No." She quit. If she hadn't, her mother would still be here. 20 people heard him. Aunt Linda went quiet. The party kept going. No one said anything. I blew out my candles, made a wish. I wished he'd stop hating me. That night, Grandpa stayed late, helped clean up, found me in my room. He said, "Your dad's wrong, Sarah. You know that, right?" I said I knew, but I didn't. Not really. Part of me believed him. Part of me still does. The blame didn't stop. It got worse. My 16th birthday. He didn't show up, said he had to work. My high school graduation. I was valedictorian. 3.97 GPA, full scholarship to UC Riverside. Dad didn't come. Said he forgot. Emily's wedding. October 6th, 2018. I was 23. The venue was in Temecula, Wilson Creek Winery. $52,000. 180 guests. Dad paid for everything. I got my invitation 6 weeks before the wedding. Standard invite, no save the date, no bachelorette party invitation. At the reception, I sat at table 18, out of 22 tables, near the bathrooms. When Dad walked Emily down the aisle, he cried. During his speech, he said, "My first daughter, my precious girl." He talked for 4 minutes and 30 seconds. I left before the bouquet toss. 9:15 p.m. Emily texted me the next day, said, "I'm sorry about the seating." I said it was fine. She said, "Dad insisted." Dad. I didn't respond. Claire's wedding was worse. September 11th, 2021. Newport Beach, Balboa Bay Resort, $61,000. 160 guests. I almost didn't go. Grandpa called, said, "Please come, for me." I went. Table 21, last table, near the DJ booth. Dad's speech. "I have 2 daughters, Emily and Claire. They're my world." I was sitting 40 feet away. He didn't look at me, didn't correct himself, just 2 daughters. I finished my wine, left before dinner. 7:45 p.m. Drove 68 miles home, cried from mile 12 to mile 34. Claire called 2 days later, crying. She said, "I told him to mention you. He wouldn't." I said it was okay. She said, "It's not okay. None of this is okay." She was right, but I'd stopped expecting different. My grandfather never stopped showing up. April 2013, I got into UC Riverside, $24,000 per year. Tuition and housing. I had $8,000 in savings from part-time jobs. Dad said, "You'll need loans." Emily had gotten $40,000 for college. Claire got $40,000 too. I said okay. The next day, Grandpa came over, handed me an envelope, inside, a check for $30,000. His signature. Memo line. First year, I'll handle the rest. I cried. He said, "You earned it, Sarah." Over 4 years, Grandpa paid $120,000. From his retirement savings, his pension was $18.50 a month. IBEW, Local 440, retired electrician. He never asked me to pay it back. August 2013. I needed a car for college. I'd saved $5,000. Looked at used Corollas, about $8,000. Grandpa said, "Let me handle it." Next week, 2013 Honda Civic, silver, $18,500, paid in full. Pink slip in my name. Dad saw it, said to Grandpa, "You're spoiling her." Grandpa said, "I'm helping her, like you should've." Dad walked away. I still drive that car. As of today, 138,000 miles. I'll probably drive it until it dies, because every mile reminds me someone believed I was worth showing up for. May 14th, 2023. Coffee bean and tea leaf. Canyon Crest Town Center, Riverside. I ordered a vanilla latte. Grande. Grabbed the wrong cup. It was his. He said, "That's mine, but you can have it, I'll get another." His name was Nathan Brennan, 32 years old, civil engineer. We laughed, exchanged numbers. First date, May 20th. Dinner at Simple Simon's. Third date, May 28th. Hiking at Mount Rubidoux. I told him about the accident, about my lie. He said, "That must have been so hard." Didn't ask questions, didn't push, just listened. I fell in love with that. 6 months in, I told him about Dad, about the blame, the distance, the weddings where I sat alone. Nathan said, "When we get married, you won't sit alone." I said, "If we get married." He said, "When?" He was right. January 14th, 2024. Nathan proposed. Mission Inn Gardens. Ring, platinum band, princess cut diamond, .8 carat, $3,200. He'd saved for 8 months. I said yes. I called Emily first. She screamed. Then Claire. She cried happy tears. Then I called Dad. He said, "Congratulations." I said, "We're thinking October 2025. He said, "Good for you." Pause. Then, "I hope you're not expecting me to pay for it." I said, "I'm not, Dad." He said, "Good," and hung up. Nathan asked what Dad said. I smiled, said he was happy for us. Nathan believed me. I didn't correct him. Some lies protect people. I learned that from experience. We toured 8 venues. March through April 2024. Chose the Mission Inn. Grand Ballroom. $18,000 for the package. Ceremony, reception, food for 200 guests. Total budget with dress, flowers, photographer, DJ, $35,000. Nathan's parents offered to contribute. I said no. We'd split it ourselves. Nathan asked if I was sure. I said I was sure. I didn't want anyone's pity. I wanted a wedding I paid for. One no one could hold over me. My dress, $2,100. Ivory lace, A-line. I bought it alone. Emily asked, "Did you invite Dad?" I said, "Of course. He's still my father." She said, "Will he come?" I said, "I don't know." I sent the invitation. June 2024. Standard invite. No personal note. No, "I hope you'll be there." Just, Daniel Ford and guest. He RSVP'd yes. Declined to walk me down the aisle. Checked the chicken meal option, and that was that. October 17th, 2025. Rehearsal dinner, 7 p.m. Mission Inn, private dining room, Alhambra Suite, 70 people. Emily, Claire, their husbands, their kids, Nathan's family, friends, Grandpa, and Dad. He arrived at 7:52. 52 minutes late, sat in the back corner, alone. I'd placed him with Emily and Claire. He moved, ordered a scotch. Glenlivet 18. Neat, dark suit, no tie. Nathan's dad gave a toast. 8 minutes. Funny, warm, welcoming. He said, "We're not losing a son. We're gaining a daughter." He looked at me, smiled. Dad stared at his drink. Didn't clap. Emily stood, raised her glass, said, "Sarah, you're the strongest person I know. You've been through hell. You've survived with grace. You deserve every happiness. Nathan, take care of her. She's tougher than she looks, but she's also softer than she admits." To Sarah and Nathan. 70 people. To Sarah and Nathan. Dad didn't raise his glass, didn't drink, just stared. Then he stood up. No one asked him to, no one expected him to. But he stood. Silence. 70 people turned. I stopped breathing. He said, "I have something to say." Pause. Long. 10 seconds. Then, "Tomorrow, Sarah's getting married. People have asked me if I'm walking her down the aisle." Another pause. I'm not. I'm not walking someone else's mistake to the altar." Complete silence. No one moved. No one breathed. He sat back down, took a drink. Like he'd said something normal. Someone dropped a fork. It hit the plate, loud. In the silence, it sounded like a gunshot. I looked at Grandpa. He was staring at Dad. And then slowly, he stood up. 81 years old, 5'7", navy suit. The same one he wore to my mom's funeral 22 years ago. He looked at me. Not at Dad. At me. He said, "Sarah, I would be honored to walk you down the aisle tomorrow." His voice didn't shake, didn't waver. Calm. Sure. Then he turned to Dad. Said, "You're a coward, Daniel." And turned back to me. "Let's go." We walked out. 70 people watched. Dad stayed in his seat. Outside in the Mission Inn courtyard, by the Spanish fountain, Grandpa held both my hands. He said, "Tomorrow, I'm going to fix this. I should have done it 22 years ago, but I'm fixing it tomorrow." I said, "How?" He said, "You'll see." I didn't know what he meant, but I trusted him. I'd always trusted him. October 18th, 2025. My wedding day. I woke up at 7 a.m., Presidential Suite, Mission Inn. Emily and Claire came at 8:30, brought breakfast, bagels, fruit, coffee from the hotel restaurant, hugged me. Emily said, "We confronted him last night. He left, went to a motel." Claire said, "We told him he was wrong. He didn't care." I said, "It's okay." Emily said, "It's not okay, Sarah. None of this has ever been okay." Hair and makeup started at 9. By 2 p.m., I was ready. Dress half zipped. Waiting. At 2:30, someone knocked. I thought it was Nathan. Bad luck, but I didn't care. It was Grandpa. He said, "Can we talk? Alone?" Emily and Claire left. He closed the door, pulled an envelope from his jacket, yellowed, old. He said, "I need to show you something. Before you walk down that aisle, you need to know the truth." The envelope was dated November 25th, 2003, 3 days after Mom died. Grandpa's handwriting to Daniel, too. Never sent. Inside, a letter, 2 pages, blue ink. It said, "Daniel, I know you ordered a second autopsy. I know Dr. Torres confirmed it was suicide. I know you're not telling anyone. I'm not going to tell them either, but I need you to know, this isn't Sarah's fault. It never was. And if you let yourself believe it is, you'll lose her too." I read it twice. My hands shook. I said, "He knew? This whole time he knew it was suicide? And he blamed me anyway?" Grandpa nodded. I said, "Why didn't you send this?" He said, "Because I thought he'd come around. I thought grief was making him cruel. I was wrong. Grief didn't make him cruel. He chose cruelty. He chose to blame you instead of facing what he'd lost." I sat down. Dress half zipped, makeup done, hair perfect. I wanted to scream. 22 years. He knew. He knew I lied to protect him, to protect all of them. And he hated me for it anyway. Grandpa said, "Do you want to cancel? I'll support whatever you choose." I said, "No, I'm getting married, but I'm done protecting him." Grandpa said, "What do you want me to do?" I said, "Tell the truth, all of it." Grandpa kissed my forehead, said, "Your mother would be proud of you." I said, "I hope so." He said, "I know so." And he left. I finished getting ready. At 3:55 p.m., I walked to the chapel entrance. 200 people inside, Dad in the back row, and Grandpa waiting to walk me down the aisle. The doors opened. 4:07 p.m. Music. Pachelbel's canon in D. 200 people stood. Nathan at the altar, crying already. Emily and Claire, my bridesmaids, smiling. And Dad. Back row, left aisle, seat 18. He wasn't smiling, he was staring. Grandpa squeezed my arm, whispered, "Ready?" I nodded. We started walking. We were halfway. 40 feet from the altar. 40 feet from Nathan. That's when Grandpa stopped. Just stopped. People murmured. I looked at him. He was looking at Dad, and then he turned to me. Quiet. Just to me. He said, "Sarah, I need to tell you something, before I say what I'm about to say to him." I said, "What?" He said, "November 23rd, 2003, the day after your mom died. I went to your room. You were asleep. I saw your teddy bear, Mr. Buttons. The back seam was open. I looked inside. I found your mother's note." My breath stopped. He said, "I knew you'd hidden it. I knew you were protecting us. So I took it. I kept it safe." I whispered, "You've had it for 22 years?" He nodded. "Where?" "Safety deposit box, Wells Fargo, Riverside Main Branch, 3499 University Avenue, box number 1893. I opened it the day after I found the note. I'm the only name on it. No one else could open it. I was protecting you the way you protected us." I said, "Why are you telling me now?" He said, "Because I'm about to stop protecting him." Grandpa turned, fully, faced my father. 200 people went silent. No music, no movement. Grandpa still holding my arm, standing in the middle of the aisle. Dad sat there, frozen. Grandpa's voice, loud enough for everyone. "Daniel, stand up." Dad didn't move. Grandpa louder. "Stand up." Dad stood, slowly, hands at his sides. Grandpa said, "Everyone here is about to learn something. About this family. About what happened 22 years ago. And about what you did." Dad's face went white. Grandpa said, "You have 5 seconds to leave, or I'm saying it here." Dad didn't move, so Grandpa said it. He looked at my father, 81 years old, voice steady, and said 7 words. "She lied to save you from yourself." Silence. Complete. No one breathed. Dad's mouth opened, closed, no sound. Grandpa said, "Sarah was 8 years old. She lied to protect you, to protect this family, and you punished her for it. For 22 years. Grandpa wasn't done. He reached into his jacket, pulled out papers, unfolded them. He said, "Everyone needs to hear this, because Sarah's carried it alone long enough." First paper, police report. Grandpa read, November 23rd, 2003. Detective James Crawford interviewed Sarah, age 8. She said her mother swerved to avoid a deer. He looked up. No deer was ever found. Skid marks showed no swerving. They showed a straight line, into the guardrail, at 70 miles per hour. Murmurs. Grandpa continued. The detective noted, child seems coached, story inconsistent with evidence, but the family insisted, accident. So accident it became. Someone in the crowd said, "Why would she lie? Grandpa said. Because she was 8, and she heard us talking about the insurance. He pulled out the next paper. Jennifer Ford purchased a $500,000 life insurance policy, January 14, 2002. Suicide clause. If death by suicide within 24 months, policy void. Jennifer died November 22, 2003. 22 months and 8 days later. 1 month and 22 days inside that window. He paused. If they'd ruled it suicide, this family would have lost everything. The house, Emily's college fund, Claire's braces, everything. The payout came January 15, 2004. Sarah's lie saved us. Third paper, therapy notes. Dr. Helen Vasquez, 2006. Quote, patient exhibits guilt disproportionate to age. When asked about mother's death, patient becomes evasive. Assessment. Child is protecting someone, possibly herself, possibly family unit. Grandpa folded the papers. Sarah was 8. She lied to save us. And her father, he pointed at Dad. He knew. He knew it was suicide, and he blamed her anyway. Dad tried to speak. Grandpa said, "Sit down, Daniel." Dad sat. Then Grandpa pulled out the final paper, white, lined, handwritten, blue ink, Mom's handwriting. I recognized it instantly. Before Grandpa could speak, Reverend Patricia Hall stepped forward. She said, "George, is this appropriate? This is a wedding." Grandpa, calm. "Reverend, with respect, this family has lived with silence for 22 years. Today we're done with silence. If you need to stop the ceremony, do it. But I'm reading this." From the crowd, Aunt Linda said, "George, maybe not here." Grandpa said, "Especially here, where everyone can see what silence costs." Nathan from the altar, "Let him speak." Emily and Claire, together, "Let him speak." Reverend Hall stepped back, nodded. Grandpa unfolded the note, his voice softened. "This is Jennifer's suicide note. Sarah hid it. In her teddy bear. I found it. I've kept it for 22 years. He read aloud. "Daniel, I can't do this anymore. I love you. I love our girls. But I'm too tired. The sadness won't stop. I've tried. I can't be the wife you need, the mother they deserve. I'm sorry. This is the only way I know to make the pain stop. Please don't blame yourself. And please, don't blame them. This is my choice, my failure, not yours, not theirs. I love you. I'm sorry, Jennifer." Grandpa's voice cracked. Only time I ever heard it crack. He said, "Sarah was 8 years old. She found this note. She hid it because she understood what it meant, and she chose to protect us." He looked at Dad. "You knew the truth. You got your own autopsy. You confirmed suicide, and then you blamed an 8-year-old child for 22 years. Dad stood up, started walking toward the exit, side aisle, not the center. Grandpa said, "Everyone see that? That's what he's been doing Sarah's whole life, walking away." Dad reached the door. 4:14 p.m. Opened it. Left. Door closed behind him. Silence. Then Grandpa turned to me, put the papers back in his jacket, held out his arm. He said, "Let's finish this." I took his arm. We walked the rest of the way. Nathan was crying. I wasn't. I'd run out of tears for my father 22 years ago. I reached Nathan. He took my hands, whispered, "Are you okay?" I said, "I am now." The Reverend asked, "Shall we continue?" I said, "Yes, please." Reverend Hall smiled. She said, "We've just witnessed something extraordinary, a truth 22 years in the making, and now we're here to witness a beginning." She looked at me. "Sarah and Nathan have written their own vows." Nathan went first, voice shaking. "Sarah, I promise to never make you carry burdens alone. I promise to show up every day, even when it's hard. especially when it's hard. I promise to be the family you deserved all along. My turn, I said. Nathan, I promise to stop protecting people who hurt me. I promise to let you protect me instead. I promise to tell you the truth, always, even when it's hard. We exchanged rings. 4:21 p.m. kiss. 4:22. Reverend Hall. I now pronounce you husband and wife. Recessional song. Here Comes the Sun, the Beatles. We walked back down the aisle. Together, married, past the row where Dad had been sitting. Empty now. But I didn't feel empty. For the first time in 22 years, I felt light. Receiving line outside the chapel. 200 people. 47 came up to me specifically. Common phrases. I had no idea. I'm so sorry. You're incredibly strong. Aunt Linda cried, said, I should have known. I should have asked. I said, it's not your fault. She said, I let him make you invisible. I hugged her, said, I'm visible now. Someone asked, where's your father? I said, he left. They said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm not. And I meant it. Reception, 8 p.m. DJ announced, ladies and gentlemen, the father-daughter dance. Pause. Then, Sarah has chosen to dance with her grandfather, George Ford. Louis Armstrong. What a wonderful world. Grandpa took my hand. We danced. He said, I'm proud of you. I said, I couldn't have done it without you. He said, you could have. But I'm glad you didn't have to. At 1 minute 48 into the song, he whispered, your mother's watching. She's proud too. I cried. First tears all day. He held me up. When the song ended, Nathan cut in, took my hand, said, may I? Grandpa smiled, stepped back. Nathan and I danced to At Last, Etta James. No father-daughter dance with my dad. But I danced with the man who showed up. That was enough. If you've ever been blamed for something that wasn't your fault, leave a comment below. And if you want to know what happened next, hit subscribe. At 9 p.m., Nathan and I cut the cake. Vanilla with raspberry filling. $380 from a bakery in Corona. Grandpa gave the final toast, raised his glass, said, to Sarah, the strongest person I know. I believed him. October 25th, 2025. 1 week after the wedding. Email from Dad. 11:47 p.m. Subject, I'm sorry. Body. Sarah, I don't know what to say except I'm sorry. I was wrong. I know that now. I need time to process. I hope someday you can forgive me, Dad. 37 words, 22 years of blame. 37 words of apology. I stared at it. Nathan said, are you going to respond? I said, no. He said, are you sure? I said, I carried his grief for 22 years. He can carry his guilt for a while. Emily called the next morning. Said, he left Deborah. Dad had remarried in 2022. Deborah was his second wife. Emily continued, he's at a motel. Riverside Inn. $89 a night, room 24. Won't talk to anyone. I said, that's his choice. Emily said, aren't you worried? I said, I worried about him for 22 years. I'm done. First Sunday after the wedding, October 27th, Emily hosted dinner. Just us. Emily, Claire, their families, me, Nathan, Grandpa. No Dad. Emily said, I think we should make this a regular thing, weekly. No Dad until he earns his way back. Claire said, agreed. They looked at me. I said, I'd like that. And we did. Every Sunday. New tradition. Built on truth instead of silence. At dessert, Claire said, I wish we'd known. We would have protected you. I said, you were kids too. Emily said, we were older. We should have seen. I said, he was good at hiding. We all were. Grandpa said, well, no more hiding, for any of you. December 2025. Dad called, asked if I'd do therapy with him. I said, with a professional, and Grandpa comes. He agreed. We found Dr. Angela Martinez, LMFT, licensed marriage and family therapist, Riverside Counseling Center, 5677 La Sierra Avenue. First session, January 15, 2026, 2 p.m., small office, 3 chairs, triangle formation. Dad looked older, thinner, tired. He'd lost about 15 pounds, more gray hair, unshaven. Dr. Martinez said, "Daniel, why are you here?" Dad said, "Because I don't know how to fix what I did." Dr. Martinez said, "Can it be fixed?" Dad looked at me. I looked back, didn't answer for him. 35 minutes in, Dr. Martinez said, "Daniel, tell me about the autopsy." Dad, to Dr. Martinez, "I knew it was suicide. I ordered a private autopsy 3 days after Jennifer died. It confirmed intentional overdose, Zoloft, 450 milligrams, blood alcohol level 0.18%, combined ingestion, cause of death, respiratory depression." Dr. Martinez said, "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Dad said, "Because if I admitted she killed herself, I'd have to admit I didn't see it. I didn't save her. I failed as a husband." Pause. Long. "It was easier to blame Sarah, an 8-year-old child. God help me, it was easier." He cried, twice during this section. I sat there, stone-faced, no tears. Dr. Martinez said, "Sarah, what do you want from your father?" I said, "I want him to admit that he chose to hurt me, every day, for 22 years, not because he didn't know better, because it was easier than facing his own pain." Dad said, "You're right." I said, "I know I'm right." End of session. 3:28 p.m. Dad said, "Can you forgive me?" Silence. 47 seconds. Dr. Martinez didn't rush me, I thought. Then I said, "I'm not ready to forgive you yet, Dad, but I'm willing to try." Dad said, "What does that mean?" I said, "It means you show up to therapy every week. You do the work. You stop making excuses. And maybe in a year or 5 or 10, I'll be able to say I forgive you. But today, no." He nodded, accepted it. Grandpa squeezed my hand. Next session scheduled, January 22nd, 1 week. We walked out, 3 of us. Dad asked, Can I hug you?" I said, "Not yet." He said, "Okay." And we left. Separate cars. But at least we'd been in the same room. At least we'd told the truth. For the first time in 22 years. Comment below, what do you think? Would you forgive him? I'm still figuring out my answer. Today, January 28th, 2026. I'm 30 years old, married 3 months and 10 days, living in Riverside with Nathan. 2-bedroom condo. Still drive the Honda Civic Grandpa bought me, 138,000 miles and counting. Still go to Sunday dinners with my sisters. Dad's in therapy. Solo sessions and sessions with me. We've had 6 so far. It's hard. Some days I hate him. Some days I feel sorry for him. Most days I feel nothing. And that's okay. Healing isn't linear. People ask, will you ever forgive him? Honestly, I don't know. But I know I'm not carrying his secrets anymore. I'm not protecting him from the truth. I'm protecting myself. And that's new. If you're listening to this and you've ever had to hide the truth to protect people who didn't protect you, I see you. If you've been the scapegoat, the blamed one, the invisible child, I see you. If you've been told you're too much, or not enough, or someone's mistake, you're not. You never were. Children shouldn't have to sacrifice their truth to hold broken families together. And parents who blame children for their own pain don't deserve easy forgiveness. My name is Sarah Ford. I'm 30 years old, and I'm done carrying other people's secrets. If this story meant something to you, share it. Tell your truth. You deserve to be free. We all do.